Welcome back. Thank you for remaining with us. My name is Anthony Sebale, and of course, you're watching Financial Markets. Of course, we came into the break with, of course, the top gainers. I mentioned East African Breweries Limited, who came out on top of the stock market yesterday. Of course, this is data coming in as of the closing of the markets on Wednesday. That is the 27th of July, 2020, of course, 2022. And now we are looking at how the markets ended. And of course, we always have the top gainers. We always have the bottom losers in case the markets, of course, are played out in that way. But yesterday we are seeing that only 3 equities were able to come out on top, and only about six losers came out at the bottom after trading was done by over only 4 entities or equities were able to participate in trading right there. You can see East African Breweries Limited came out on top at 4,644.17 Ugandan shillings, and that was a 2.04% gain on a daily. And then we are seeing East Equity Bank Limited coming in at 1.48% increase, and that was to a price of 1,465.38. And then we look at the third place coming in there was Jubilee Holdings Limited at 8,072.58 at a 0.61% gain there on the stock market. And these gainers came after, of course, 4 participants were able to take part in the market. All these listings that were able to gain were actually cross-listed, not locally listed, looking at East African Breweries, Equity Bank, and the like. But on the losing side there, we had Umeme on the losing side, who came out at the bottom with a price of 190.81 Ugandan shillings. If you remember, Umeme came out, as a loser last week. Starting last week, we're seeing some kind of a decline in prices for Umeme. Of course, we don't know what could be the problem or the cause of this, but definitely various factors on the market could be driving towards this particular price. And then Nation Media Group at 585.18 came out in the second last position with a daily 2.52% loss. Centum Investment also lost at a 0.09% percentage points, and then coming down to 322.25 Ugandan shillings per share. KCB Bank came in also as a loser at 0.09%, losing to 1,259.52 Ugandan shillings. And Kenya Airways at 124.17, lost by 0.09% on a daily, while Stanbic Bank Uganda lost by 0.05%, ending the day with a price of 20.99. And of course, now that was how the market played out, but only remember 4 participants were able to take part in the market. And as you can see, that's how the market played out for those that were able to act. Of course, usually the participants might not actually even have any influence on how the markets play out. There are various other factors that could be considered here, but we are seeing that we had 6 losers and 3 top gainers in that market yesterday. Now, let's look into the Umeme stock here in particular. The Umeme stock, Umeme lost by 9.19 Ugandan shillings, losing by 4.6%, and that was to a price of over 190.81 Ugandan shillings. And this performance, of course, comes at a time when umeme has been declining in prices since the month of June, coming back down to over the 100 now and 90. And of course, we are seeing that in terms of year-to-date performance, this particular stock has been one of the people that have lost a lot of value when it comes. Actually, he first gained a lot of value, but then later lost a lot of value within the last 3 months. Now, Umeme Limited was first incorporated in Uganda as a private limited company on the 6th of May 2004, and later converted into a public company in the month of June 28th, that is on the 28th of June 2012. And we are seeing since then Umeme was declared a public company, and of course with several people being able to gain a stake in the company here in Uganda under the Companies Act. Umeme, however, is a subsidiary of Umeme Holdings, which is itself a subsidiary of Actis Infrastructure, and this is an investment fund under the management of Actis through a holding company in Mauritius. And of course, this company has seen several change of hands, of course, because of how the hierarchy is from Actis Africa down to Umeme Holdings, then to Umeme Uganda, and so on. Umeme took over the distribution system of the country Uganda for, of course, the distribution and supply of electricity in the country from the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, and the concession period of 20 years commencing the 1st of March 2005. And as you can see there, Umeme trades under the ticker symbol UMEM. That is the symbol you will find on the Uganda Securities Exchange if you're looking for Umeme. And it is traded under the International Securities Identification Number USE UMEM UG0001145. Now, Umeme Limited is currently the 10th most valuable stock on the market. And when you talk about valuable stocks, we're talking about stocks ranking in terms of the number of shares, but also the value mainly here. So getting the current share price of 190.81, multiplying it by the outstanding shares, we come up with 310 billion, which represents 1.44% of the Uganda Securities total equity market. And as you can see on your screen there, that's the graph for how this particular counter has been able to perform for the past couple of months and also weeks. And as you can see, we are seeing steady declines there. And if you can look at the month of September last year, the prices were between 2,200 and of course between 2,200 and 2,025. That is the pricings there. And you can see that the graph was quite steady between the month of September and November. That is looking at the pricings over there in the year 2021. But even if you look back in the year 2019, you will still see that the graphs were between 250 and 200 shillings, but above 250 around January 2020, between October 2019 and January 2020. But in the year 2021, the prices were in between 200 and 225. And then when we started the year, we see prices that they went down actually a little bit, slightly, to prices of over 175, between 175 and 200. And then later on in March, the month of March, between the month of March and April, we see that there was a steady rise in the prices of Umeme until we see the peaks or that plateau there in the month of May of about 205. 249 Ugandan shillings. But since then, beginning the month of July, the prices went down, and of course, they went down to as low as 200 and then through to 190, and right now we are seeing it stabilizing at 190. Of course, this is data that is courtesy of the Uganda Securities Exchange, and we are seeing these graphs directly from the Uganda Securities Exchange, where of course this data is generated. And we can see that later on, Umeme kind of went to the mark of 190 just recently, like we have seen on a daily, and this loss has driven the prices below 200, something that hasn't been seen for quite some time, since the month of April, the year 2022. And in terms of traded volumes, yesterday, Umeme traded a total volume of 38,503 Ugandan shillings. Those are shares that were traded. And of course, these shares had a gross turnover, a total turnover of 7.35 million Ugandan shillings. The shares outstanding currently for Umeme are 1.62 billion shares, and the market capitalization is 310 billion. And based on this data, the current share price at 190.81 closing price for Wednesday, July 27th. The Uganda Securities Exchange says, of course, that this has seen a recording of 4.6% drop from its previous closing price of 200 Ugandan shillings. And Umeme, of course, has also begun the year with 189 Ugandan shillings and has since lost a 0.96% on that price valuation, ranking it in terms of year-to-date performance, the fifth stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Investors should, however, take caution because of Umeme's recent poor performance on the market, having lost over 20% of its value since in the past 4 weeks, as we can see there on that particular graph. Umeme has lost 20% of its total prices based on a monthly performance calculation. And of course, when we look at the monthly, we also have to look at 4 weeks ago, we have to look at 3 months. And Umeme, over the past 3 months, that is from April 20th to July 27th, 2022, has traded a total volume of over 34 million shares, and these have been valued at 8.16 billion over the period. And in terms of 3 months performance, we're seeing that Umeme is coming in the second position. It is the second most traded stock by volume, and by this we are talking about how many shares have been able to trade on the stock market that we are seeing here. And of course, now Umeme Uganda Limited comes into position number 2 in this particular category of performance. And when we look at the volumes that were traded of over worth 8.16 billion, that is 34 million shares over this period, we are seeing that there was a volume high of over 7.44 million shares that was traded on the 20th of May within the last 3 months. Of course, this is during the last 3 months. And of course, when we look at the details down here, we see that on a certain day they could trade about 38,500 shares. You have days where they traded 2,100 shares, 1,700 shares. Generally, you can see that it's a tradable stock in terms of trading large volumes, in terms of activity. It has been a very active counter, and that is one other market performance indicator. And now, when we look at the year-to-date performance, we have seen that there has been a gain of only 0.96%. But when we look at 1 year ago. Exactly last year, 22nd of July 2021, we're seeing an 11.3% loss on that. And then in 6 months, we are seeing a gain of 0.96 again, 0.96% again. While on a 3-month basis, an 18.1% loss has been witnessed. On a 4-week, like we have mentioned, this is where you need to take precaution. In just 4 weeks, Wumeme has lost 20%. So much as the attractive figures here and there, but we are seeing a loss slightly on the 1-month basis, on the 4 weeks basis. So in conclusion, you can say that it's good to buy right now for Wumeme. If you are looking at investing in Wumeme, or if you're looking at future investments, Wumeme is one stock to consider in buying, because as you can see, the prices have gone down and that they could go up anytime. This is a time to buy. If you're already holding shares, it's not a time to sell, because this is going to be a sell on a loss basis. You're not going to make a lot of profit, especially if you bought these shares around the month of June, around the beginning of the year. You're not going to have a very good outlook if at all you sell really quickly right now. So this is the best time to buy stock here at Wumeme, and of course that depends entirely on you as well. As a human being, as a person, you may also have a different or varying opinion. But in my opinion, Wumeme is a very promising stock. Of course, with the second most traded counter, you can also be sure that you can easily find activity on this particular stock, meaning if you want to sell, definitely you might be able to sell within a shorter time as well, because you can see a volume of over 80.6 million shares that were traded, 7.44 matter of fact, as a maximum on the 20th of May within a single day. That is quite a huge volume. And of course, looking at over 13 million shares within the last, 34 million shares within the last 3 months. All these are market performance indicators that Wumeme could be a good stock to consider and is worth trading on. Wumeme, of course, came out last, but wasn't the only company that came out in that position. We had companies like NMG as well. NMG lost by about 15.15 Ugandan shillings. That was a 2.52% drop in prices for NMG. And NMG came out with a loss to a price of 585 Ugandan shillings, closing prices there on the market yesterday. And NMG, if you can look at that graph, you see that there's a drastic decline compared to last year's stock prices for NMG, and you can see they are dropping almost from 800, matter of fact, 800 shillings on average to averages of now 500, meaning a total loss of over 200 something, about 250 Ugandan shillings loss within the period of at least the last 10 months. Looking at last year around September. And the activity on this counter is also not that much as you can expect, because as we know, most of these cross-listed companies don't see much activity here on the Ugandan market. But in terms of buying shares, yes, you can buy right now, because you can see based on that performance, this stock was at 800 before 2022, and right now is at 500. Meaning, if it goes back by any reasons back to the 600 mark, then you'll be swimming in a lot of profits there, coming onto the capital gain, selling at higher prices. And of course, Nation Media Group is a media group, of course, a media company that is based in Kenya and is currently one of the leading national media houses in East Africa, with several subsidiaries also here in Uganda. So you can trust at least that the company has very good management, the company has very good books, of course, of accounts, and the only thing lacking basically here is the activity. And of course, activity comes with volumes. People want to trade with tradable stocks. But in terms of value, you can trust that the value of this company could go up anytime soon without question, because from 800 shillings down to 500 is quite significant. And if we could go back to those prices, wow, that would be a good way to gain value for yourself. And of course, that was our analysis for Umeme and NMG. We're going to go into a very short break, and when we return, we will talk about the other losers who came out on the bottom. I always want to start with the losers, because as you call it a loss, I call it an opportunity for me to trade. I call it an opportunity for me to actually be able to gain a little more value of my stock. I call it an opportunity because that is the best time to buy. When you see stocks going down, don't run away, don't panic sell. This is the mistake most people make and end up making huge losses, because the capital markets here require a little more patience and more time for you to gain value, for you to be able to benefit, for you to be able to gain a little bit of profit. And of course, that may not come in a single day. So you don't expect to invest today and come out tomorrow with huge profit. Of course, it can happen, but very, very slim chances there for you. But let's take a short break. We return with other counters and also the top gainer, of course, East African breweries as well. And later on, we'll be looking into the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Stay with us.